Hello people, and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time on the channel, a special welcome to you. I ask that you check out the rest of my videos. If you like what you see, give them a thumbs up, leave a comment, but more than anything, I'm asking that you subscribe to the channel. Yes people, that is the current situation at the moment. I have finally received my Swiss license. Finally, officially passed the test. A few of my subscribers have been asking me for a while now, a couple months now, did you pass your test? Did you pass your test? When are you going to do a video about the passing of the test? The reason why it took me this long to do a video about passing my test is because when you guys were asking me if I passed the test, it was more like a yes, no. I mean, you were asking me if I got my driver's license, and the answer was more like a yes, no, because what had happened is that, for those who don't know what I'm talking about, let me take y'all back to August 22nd, 2019. That was the first time I attempted to do my practical test, trying to exchange my foreign license for a Swiss license. So I did a video because I failed on my first attempt to do the practical. After failing to do my practical, I had to do a theory. I had to do the whole thing all over. And my first attempt at the theory, I failed again. And I did another video about failing on my theory test. And then the third video that I did was when I repeated the theory test and I aced the theory test. I passed the theory test. So what happened after I passed the theory test was that the very next day, a license came in the post. So it was like a provisional, but then again it was like a license. And the reason why I say that is because I don't know if this applies to everyone or it just applies to people like myself who previously had a foreign license, because the license that came in the mail after my theory test allowed me to drive independently. So I didn't need a L plate. I didn't need someone with a full driver's license in the car. I could drive out of state. I could drive out of country. It was a valid license. It was valid for 2 years. However, with that license, it would only last 2 years. So I would have to do my practical again to get the credit card type license. So I drove around and familiarized myself with the highways and the byways and the secondary roads and all that of Switzerland, you know, because it's only been a year since I've decided to buy a car and drive in Switzerland, even though I've lived there for so long. After familiarizing myself with all the roads and the codes and everything, I decided that I wanted to do my practical again to get my official license. That was not as easy because the pandemic kind of interrupted things, so then I have to wait for a while, keep monitoring the traffic department sites and everything. As soon as the traffic department gave us like an amber green light that we can now apply for practical, that's what I did. And I was ready to get my practical on. However, that was not as easy. Why? This is Switzerland. Switzerland does things totally different from anywhere else in the world. So after I sent off my application and I said I needed a date to take my practical, they said, no, it's not that simple. Not because you've got this license that you're driving around with. In order for you to take a practical, you have to go to traffic school. It was crazy. I had to go to a 4-day course of traffic school before I could take this practical test, and school wasn't free, so I had to pay for that. Moving on, so did the 4-day course. The traffic department got that information and I was allowed to book my date. So the date that I booked was yesterday, August 6, 2020. I decided, you know what, I believe I'm mentally ready, learn from my mistakes, and I'm gonna ace this thing. The time of my test was, believe it or not, it was 7 o'clock in the morning, you know, so you want us to be up early. And you know how it is when you wake up early. Yeah, all upstairs is not all together. So I woke up extra early to make sure that everything was ready mentally. And I decided, yeah, let's go on to the Swiss DMV, and went down there and I took the test. And in a nutshell, I passed the test. But I'm doing this video because I want people in Switzerland like myself who are going for their Swiss license to know what to expect or what not to expect. In my particular case, fortunately, traffic school played a great part, you know, freshen me up, refreshing me up, or freshen me up on the Swiss road code and the do's and the don'ts. So even though at first when I went to traffic school, my first day was like, oh man, this is the most humiliating thing. Why? Because other than the tutors, I'm like the oldest person here. All these people can be my children. All these kids, they were like 18, 19, 20, 22. They were children. They were doing what I did years ago when I was their age. When I was 20, I was going for my driver's license, and it felt weird being in a class at first until I realized that there is actually profit to my presence in this classroom, because I was learning a lot of things that I truly did not know. So it was a good thing that I went there and I gathered some more information. It was also a good thing to do the theory from scratch again, because it's a different country. I've had driver's license in America, I've had driver's license in Jamaica, I've had a provisional driver's license in England, and Switzerland is totally different. So on to the test and what to expect and what not to expect. I was kind of prepared to repeat the same kind of practical that I did the last time. If you guys watched that video when I failed my first practical, there are things that I pointed out. And in this practical test, almost 80% was different. So what I'm trying to say here is, you just have to know how to drive, and you have to know all the road code, because your practical test will not be pre-written. This is what I'm trying to say. So let's say you fail a practical test like I did. Don't expect it to go the very same way. It's like the theory test. The theory test, the questions are random. And if you should fail the theory test and you do it again, it's not the same questions you're gonna get. You may get one or two, but it's just randomized. So yesterday when I went to take my practical test, even though I was mentally prepared to correct what I did wrong in the last test, it was almost, I wouldn't say it's not important or wasn't necessary to mentally prepare. What I'm saying, most of it was not required. Most of what I was prepared for, I did not have a chance to apply. So what I applied was all the other knowledge that I studied and knew to do in Switzerland. You know, so right is right. That took me a while to get, you know, things like going around a roundabout in England, in the US, in Jamaica, going around a roundabout. As soon as I approach the roundabout, I usually put on my indicator. In Switzerland, that's a no-no. You enter the roundabout and you're only supposed to give regard to the car coming from your left. You should only put your indicator on when you're exiting the roundabout. So little things like that in Switzerland was just totally different. Right is right. You have to always remember that. In the US, in Jamaica, in England, if you're driving on what you think is a main road, usually you have the rights of way, and any off-road that's coming into your road usually don't have the rights of way. They have to yield for you. In Switzerland, not necessarily so. There's only some roads that's coming off the sides that have to wait for you. But there are some instances where a road that's coming off the side has priority over you, and you who was on the main road have to yield for that particular car. The main thing is safety. The driving instructor wants to feel safe as he's driving with you. And the other thing is road code. You have to know the road codes. You know, the instructor that I had yesterday took me in some tricky places, and you know, I had to get my brain spinning how to deal with this situation, how not to deal with this situation. Again, you can be driving for the longest. If you move to Switzerland and have to do a Swiss driving test, theory or practical, take no offense into it. Just say this is Switzerland and everything is done different. And there are benefits to learning from scratch. Like I say, I've been driving for 28 years and I can drive. I can drive automatic, I can drive manual cars, but doesn't necessarily mean you know how to drive in Switzerland, because you know to drive on a road. But what I'm saying, in Switzerland, the traffic codes are different, so it's good to start from scratch. I understand, it does take a lot out of you, especially when you've been driving forever. But like I say, for safety reason and for educational reason, I benefited from starting from scratch. I was irritated, of course. I was almost offended when I failed my practical the first time. I wasn't so offended when I failed the theory, for the simple fact that when the questions hit me, I realized that I did not know anything that it was asking me. But after I studied up, boom, I aced it. Anyway, I'll put the link in the description so you guys can follow the journey. And before I go, hey, without a doubt, where is it? Up and passing my test, they gave me a pen, just in case you guys, okay, I did take some pictures of it, so here it is. That's my pen. I'm not going to put it in that position where it is among my other pen, but I just did that for the photo's sake. And you know that I'm a pen collector, so I was really in appreciation to get this pen. So, Gute Fahrt actually means, I'm going to hold it right, yep. Good fart actually means good journey. That is truly applicable to me because it's been a journey. Anyway, people, won't keep you guys too long. As always, thanks for watching. You know, on this channel, I appreciate thumbs up. I even appreciate thumbs down. I appreciate agreement and disagreement, because at the end of the day, what? Each one teach one, people. You've reached the end of my video, and that in itself is a support that I truly appreciate. And while I'm at it, I will take this time out to let you guys know other ways that you can support my channel. The first and simplest way that you can support my channel is by giving this video a thumbs up. And the second and most important way that you can support this channel is by hitting that subscribe button and subscribe to my channel and follow me through my YouTube journey. Other ways that you can support my channel is by going to my Teespring online store and buying some of my merch. And another way that you guys can also support this channel is by joining me in Patreon to give me a contribution to support what I do on YouTube and what I do to entertain you guys. Once again, I want to thank you guys for your continuous support and ask that you join me, Ian T. Sebast, on YouTube and see where my journey takes me. Until next time, people, peace.